Hello, my name's Maggie and I'm an artist from the south coast of England. Always have been an artist, so I've got a few years, as you can see, of experience I'd like to pass on to people in isolation, hopefully help the boredom a little bit and start people off drawing, sketching, maybe some painting later, see how long this blooming coronavirus carries on. Hope you're all well today. If you're recovering, I hope your recovery goes well, and if you haven't got it yet, stay safe. So let's get on. Last week I introduced drawing people. From a straight line you went straight into drawing people, which is a bit cruel, but I thought it was a good way to keep you going forward. Today we're going to move on with our little people, so excuse me while I just move my camera. Let's come round here, little camera. And down a little, if you wouldn't mind. Perfection. There we go. Right, so last week I suggested, because models aren't going to be easy to find, things to draw aren't going to be easy to find. This is a chap, I've always called him Joe. He's actually a catalogue chap displaying this rather shifty suit. I liked it because he's got black shoes on. I hate that. But also about him, he's facing forward, he's nice and square. And I introduced drawing lines from the head to the chin, point of the shoulders, to his elbows, to his wrists, to his knees, to his ankles, to his feet, and then introduced these blocky shapes. These blocky shapes are what we use to make up the body's movement and shape. From there, taking these lines again, pinpointing where the elbows, the wrists are, the knees and the ankles, and adding this in. Asked you to practice it across here till you came across this chap. And what we did was we literally took our shapes and drew around them. Unfortunately, you'll notice that my shapes then got very, very huge. This is a 14-year-old about to play his first American football game. He's been called Pinhead, and I feel very sorry for him. So we started with straight lines and ended up with Pinhead. Bless his heart. Well, today I'm going to move you on a little bit faster by putting some movement into your people. Now, somebody mentioned copyright about putting other people's photographs up to use as my models. So I thought, probably you've got a point. Though I think in these times of rather unusual, I don't think anybody's going to mind too much. But just in case, I've decided it's probably a good idea. So I'm just going to slide Joe in underneath there. My model's not quite the same height, he's a little bit higher. But if you see my point, you've still got the top of his head, his chin, the point of his shoulder, his elbow, his wrist, his wrist would be further down because that would be the point of his hip. The point of his hip, his knees, his ankles, and the bottom of his feet. Working on this, we've also got the shapes still there. So we have the shape, the circle, we have the square is now sideways on. Your first perspective. If you have a shape that's this side, this shape, what's it look like from the side? Well, it might have a rounded end, which you'll find chests do. And so your square becomes like a cushion. So we put our cushion in, foreshortening across the other shoulder. That means we've made it, exaggerated it, but we've made it like this. So there is his chest. There is the ball that makes up his tummy. And there is the triangle. My ball isn't quite long enough. Makes up the triangle that makes up his hip. Now again, he's on his side, so we're going to turn our triangle to this shape. If you want to follow along, you'll notice I'm using just a piece of printer paper, nothing fancy, just a piece of printer paper. We're at home, we don't have an awful lot of options about what we can use. So printer paper is fine. I'm using a softer pencil. One of the the watchers last week, when the people in the class last week said the pencil on this hard board was so hard that she couldn't bear the sound, and I apologised profusely for that. You don't think of things like that when you're doing a video. So this time I'm using a much softer pencil, and I'm also using it over a pad, so it's nice and quiet. So from here we've got our head. Let's pull this a little bit further. We've got our head, we've got our square, we've got our circle, we've got our triangle. So from here we're going to start putting in the points of the shoulder. So his shoulder from this drawing starts there. Come down to his elbow, out to his wrist, and give him a triangle. That's his hand. Now his other arm, that one's forward, so this one would be going back. His other arm actually would be here. But we're not going to use that one because we can't see it from this drawing. And then over this, we're going to find the point of his hips. They're there. Actually, that one could be further back. So from there, draw the long thigh down to the knees, down the shin to the ankles. And then his feet this time take a bend because we've got his toes in here. Now that bend's important because when it comes to drawing animals, and we're going to try attempt animals today as well. So when we move to animals, you need to have that toes involved. I will show you later. Okay, so coming down here, we lose his foot behind the dog. I thought it'd be nice to add in the dog this time because you'll be able to use these same joints, tilt them forward, move them around a little bit. And if you're interested in drawing animals, you'll find this structure still works for all animals. Even birds or dragons or whatever creatures you want to draw. I love to draw horses. So in my case, this is the same structure you will use for horses. So if I just move him to one side a minute, we have our structure. Coming back to our chap here, we can see his clothing now. So coming back here, we can then come across his tummy to where his shirt will be, across his back. Now part of the back is hidden behind that arm, but then his bum will start to come out. So we start to flesh him up a little bit. His shoulder, he's quite a skinny lad. Actually, you don't look very happy with his head down like this. He's quite a skinny lad, so we come round this line and give him a shoulder. Come down a little bit, and keeping either side of this line, we're going to give him an arm. Join it up there. And the hand comes down, and then down here, again, here's our thigh. Here's our middle point, so we're going to take that for the beginning of his trousers, where we've given him a bum, and give him his shorts. From there, come on down, either side of this line here, round his knee, give him a calf. When you're drawing, what you're doing is always looking at what you're drawing, or if you're drawing from imagination, imagining, and then it's the observations of the small details that make the difference between a stick man and a person. So in this observation, you'll notice this line curves out around his ankle, that's his calf, out around his calf, and comes in for his ankle. Comes into a point here, sort of stops. If you're drawing a bare knee, it kind of stops, and then comes down in the shin to a straight line. It's the observation. It's looking. Look at what you're drawing. If you're imagining it, then be very careful what you're imagining. Look and see what you're imagining you're drawing. If you've got something in front of you, it's the observation that will make the difference. So observe what the line looks like, put it in here. Okay. Now he's wearing a pretty clumsy shoe. It comes out round his ankle, down to a point. We have a triangle there. You see it, and another triangle there. Feet on the whole are made up of triangles. Aren't they lovely? Okay, so coming down to this leg, we've come down with his shirt to here, giving some folds in his jeans, straight out to his knee. Don't forget the knee just has a little sort of stop there. And then, because we're going to draw in a dog in a minute, we won't worry too much. and then again observing that calf, and you can't see his shoe on that side. We've done very little to his hand at the moment, and we do need to add in a neck. Okay, on his face we have this way. We're going to do his oval this way. So when I said halfway down will be his eyes, this was the rule we put in on this sheet here. Halfway down you'll see his eyes. So you can put a line across where his eyes would be. And when you're doing a forward looking eye, very simple, tiny ball and a line. That will be enough to start your drawing. So we put a little tiny line and a dot, give him an eyebrow and give him some hair. Again, I'm not into hippies, but if you are, you do some long hair. Of our oval, looking sideways, the nose comes out slightly. So give him a slight nose. Well, that's a big nose. Then coming down here, depending on your chap, my chap's got quite a big chin, and then the line that comes up to finish off his jaw. So we're going to come down here, quite a big chin up here, and finish off his jaw. Now if we're going to translate that onto a piece of paper, okay, so we have our basic shape. We have our head, we've come down, we've put in our barrel, our shoulder, our chest, and a little bit further we put in all his tummy, and we've slanted his hip forward. From there we found the point of his elbow. Oh, can I just point out, when you're transferring onto a piece of paper, you're actually going to start your drawing, do it very lightly, because we're going to add in all the details and these will need to disappear underneath. Okay, so very, very lightly find the point of his shoulder. His arm comes straight down to his elbow, about halfway through his middle look, and then out to a point where he's holding his lead. You give him his wrist, that's a little bit too far forward, and his hand. I could have drawn that circle a little longer and dropped his hips a little further. There we go. Then finding the point on this new triangle where his hip is. This line, if you observe, goes back just ever so, so it's not straight up, it's already moving back. So you're coming back, finding the point, coming down, finding his ankle, and remember his foot this time is 2 triangles, so draw a bend, you've got 1 triangle and 2 triangles. This foot comes out from a hip you can't see, this side, comes out to the same length, and then again this line isn't straight, it's slightly forward, the point of his ankle. I'm just checking what my dog's eating. Give me a second. What have you got? What have you got? Show me. Show me what you got. Yeah, you can eat that. I've got a puppy. She's under my table and she eats everything. So coming back to our filling in, we then remember, we come down, we give him a nose, we give him an eye, about halfway down this ball, a spot with a line over it for his eyebrow, give him some hair, determined not to make this chap pin-headed, give him a jawline and a neck. He's leaning forward, so his jawline comes forward. He has then his shirt, we put in his shirt. Coming to the point of the shoulder here, we're going to stop and give him his shirt sleeve. Coming down the line we've got here, we're going to fill in now. If you are observing this well, you will notice that his upper arm is quite straight, but his lower arm has that curve that you find in arms. Can't see mine, can you? If you're any doubt, hold out your own arm, look in a mirror, see what your own face looks, your own arm looks like. And coming out here, we know he's actually got his hand round a lead, so where I always draw triangles, take the corner out your triangle, foreshorten it, and there you go, you've got a little fist. Did it without even knowing you were going to, didn't you? Find the bottom of his shirt and start to give him a bum. You know he's got a bum, everybody has one. So from this point sort of halfway along, we're going to come down with his shorts from the bum again. And this side, a couple of little creases to make his shorts look real. Out and putting his short that side. That's actually, if you look, not the right shape. It comes out in a curve. Down to here, give him his knee. Down to here. Out from here, bottom back of his knee, and start his calf. From this one, down to his knee, down his shin, out round the calf. Pop his trainers on. You have got that one triangle and then the other triangle. This foot you don't see. So we've got our chap. Now what I'm going to suggest is you colour him in a little bit, because then you'll lose some of those lines underneath. Oh, forgotten his other neck. There we go. Pop his front neck in. Good. So there he is. Nice looking chap. When you're shading, you can either use cross-hatching, where you go literally across all the time, or as I tend to do, I tend to go all over, or I also tend to just go like this. Any of them, if you are using a pencil, if you then rub it with your finger, you'll see it here, it will begin to blend and you'll lose some of the scratchy lines you put on it. We're given some darker trousers. Again, a little bit of detail, put in his pocket, put in a few creases, you know, nothing's ever perfect. Under his arm, there'd be a slight bit of shade. Okay, happy with our chap. We're now going to move on to our doggo. Now our doggo, where's me skeletons gone? Where's me skeletons? Our doggo has the same shape as this. We're going to turn him sideways. So rather than having the head here, the head comes up here. So you've got a head, you've got a block, you've got your circle, you've got your triangle. From there you have the point of the elbow. The top half of a dog's arm is that bit. It's actually only that little bit there. If I draw it down here, so this part of a dog's arm is that part there. That's his elbow. That's his forearm. And all the rest of this is his hand. Excuse me. Still hay fever, no COVID. So it's not quite triangles, but if you draw two triangles as one for his foot and another for his toes, you'll pretty much have the paws sorted. So we'll do that again. The other one here, this is his arm, that is his forearm, and that is his foot and his toes. So we would come here and added in another joint for the toes. That's his toes. Getting a bit fed up with this cough. Okay, adding our shapes in then here. Here is our barrel, which the shoulder should actually do this better. There we go. Here is our barrel with our shoulder in the centre. Here is our original ball. With a dog, add a second one. A second ball. There is our tummy. And there is our triangle. From our triangle, the hip is also an interesting joint, in as much as people think this is the leg, but in fact this is the leg to the knee. That is to the ankle, and again this is what we would classify as the foot. That is the foot. Do it again. So this is the thigh, that is the shin, that is the first part of the foot, and that is the toes. Oh, you hate me right now. I'm afraid I've got pins and needles where I'm holding that so tightly on the board. So then going round our shape, depending on the kind of dog you're trying to draw. I've not started you off with a nice neat little, here's a dog, here's its legs, here's its back legs, here's its nose, and see its nose. I want you to do a full running dog first time. I know you can do it. So coming down this line here are circles. Coming out to give him a muzzle. This dog's actually got his mouth open, but don't worry too much about that. Depending on the dog you're drawing, pokey upper ears, floppy outer ears, lie downy ears, totally up to you. My dog's got floppy ears, it's going to have that. It's going to come up and over the shoulders, along. Now they've got quite a curved spine when they're running, out to his tail, around this barrel, right around it. And then filling in around our lines, the same as we did up here. You come out round the lines, out round the lines. Tummies, depends if you've got a furry dog, fat dog, whatever kind of dog. Choose your dog. Remember that actually the dog probably comes up into here, and this is probably all fur. And then again, out round our legs to do our doggy shapes. Round our knee to the ankle, out to the foot, back to the ankle and round. Okay, I think I'm being terribly mean to you. I'm just going to transfer that onto our picture here. So here is our dog. If you want to do the same as we did last time, I haven't got my ruler. 2 seconds while I just grab my ruler. I'm going to make a huge big dog against my picture. If you want to do the same here, is the top of his head and the top of his back are roughly the same height. Under his tummy, I'm going to take the point that under his tummy, there, it's roughly the same point. And so you could draw lines, your lines, to give you some kind of indication as to where you should be drawing each of these joints. This foot is actually off the ground. So if this is the one foot that's on the ground, there should be space under this one. But the same way as we drew our man, you can draw your lines across, so you know you've got your spacing right. I'll do that again in a minute. I promise I will get that done in a minute. But for now, I'm going to ignore these lines because they're not the right ones for my dog. So we're going to start again with the same shape as we started before. A ball for the head, a barrel for the body, a ball, a triangle, and that's our dog, the second ball. Okay, so we're going to give him floppy ears, we're going to join the neck in, and we're going to start here with the first joint, which is the shoulder joint, back to the elbow, out to the wrist, and down to his toes. This one is hidden behind, but we know it comes out to the knee point, out, knee. Start again, Maggie. Shoulder, elbow, wrist, knees. I've got an obsession with knees. Sorry. From the shoulder to the elbow, out to the wrist and down to the fingers. Thank you. Thank you for sticking with me because I really don't deserve it right now. Now this one, we're going to start the hips about halfway down our triangle, the same as we did with our human, halfway down the triangle, and go out to the knee, down to the ankle, just making certain I got it right this time, and out to the bended foot. This foot then, the other foot is behind, so we start with an imaginary hip point, down to the knee, out to the, I'm actually doubting myself now, down the long thigh, to the knee, out to the ankle, and then the foot. And this time the foot bends this way. Yeah, because he's a doggy, we're going to give him a tail as well. Oh, we're going to be able to fill in the foot in a minute. And then we're going to go out round our dog. out round our dog. Give him his floppy ears. Same thing applies, dog. Unless you're my dog, in which case you can't see a blooming eye anyway. I'm going to have to sharpen my pencil in a minute. Out over the neck, over the shoulders, down, up and over the hips, out to the tail. And scruffy down the front, right the way around. This leg is behind. It's definitely behind. This one, this line here comes round. Do you want to join in your dog's foot, out round it? Give him a tummy. He's very, oh, this one's a greyhound. Look at this. This one's a greyhound. Out around the lines to the foot, out around the lines to the body. One more to go, or rather the back ones to go. Out and round, out and round. This is a skinny little dog, isn't it? Up under his tail. I'm going to colour him in so we lose all of those nasty lines. You can't see any of them. But you do have a good strong line. I'm going to show you where your strong lines need to be, here and here. So you define that these two are behind. There we go. He's on the collar. Give him a line from there. Oh, my pencil's going from there to there. And as I said, now we can put in the other foot. So we come down to our ankle point. This foot is nice and flat. So around his heel, give him a flat foot. You've got your two triangles there. One triangle, second triangle. So there is his foot. Give him some laces. Give him a bit of heel to his foot. And there we have, oh, do you know what? I'm actually a little bit far away. I hadn't realised that. I wasn't looking what the camera was doing. But hopefully that then becomes your little person walking a dog. I hope that's been really helpful. Remember, everything starts from the same shape. You start with your skeleton, your person, head, chest, tummy, hips. Everything comes off of this, everything. And then we transfer it to our, have I got another person? Yes, I've got another person. We transfer it to our person and put in our circle, our blocks, our hips, this time tilted slightly forward. Put in the joints. Hello. That's my husband coming in. He'll work out in a minute. I'm recording. And down to the knee and down to the hip. Put in the shoulder and down to the elbow, out to the wrist and the hand. We're going to do the same thing on the dog. Maybe just slightly. Ball for the head, second ball, barrel of the body, tummy, his hip. And the joints here, these are the confusing ones, I know. Down to the elbow, out to the wrist, down to the fingers, down to the elbow, out to the wrist, down to the fingers. From the hips, out to the knee, the long thigh bone, down to the ankle and the foot. Down to the knee, out to the ankle, to stop and think, and down to the foot. Fill them both in, come out round, fill them both in, all the way round till you've got some shape, colour it in. Now what I did promise was, if you do the same as I do, take a picture off the internet, find something you want to draw. It doesn't matter what it is. Find something you want to draw. If you're learning to do measurements and you're finding it hard, then literally pop your piece of printed paper, whatever you're going to draw, and do some lines. Print it off twice. It doesn't matter. Give yourself some points to work from. So you know that when you get from here to there, that is the right distance. You can't have got it wrong because you've got the measurement. His hips are roughly here. His knees are slightly one's above the other, but and again the ankles down here, they're slightly one above the other. But if you use a measurement, then when you come to draw him, you'll know you've roughly got the shape of him in the right places. You know the measurements are right because you're copying them. It doesn't mean to say you've copied your picture, you're using them as a guide. So hopefully that has started you off on a plan of going from a picture you've taken from the internet, magazine, anywhere like that, and drawing it. That's our lesson this week. I hope you've enjoyed this one. I'm going to ask you, where are we? Where's my little thingies? If you've liked what you've drawn, then could I get you to either post it on Instagram and tag it Maggie's Art Class, or send a direct message to me on Instagram at Maggie Dragons Art Studio, or you can email me at lindsay@gmail.com. Lindsay's my middle name, and DAS is obviously Dragons Art Studio. I'm a little bit closer this time, so you can't see all that in one go. There we go, that's better. The art of technology, move the board. So I'll leave that up for a little while. And the only other thing I'd ask is, thanks very much for watching, it's been lovely. Please, if you like the video, could you give it a thumbs up? That's really, really great for me. Thank you very much. So I'll leave these up for a little while. And as I say, if you want to show me what you've done, please get in contact with me one way or another. We had about 6 people last week send their artwork in. It was lovely to see it. I talked to you all. I hope you're going to do another one today. One of them was a really good artist who, bless her heart, does a lot of figurative work, and something that came up. I said, oh, I haven't thought about that in years. So hopefully it's been helpful. Love to see what you've done. Send it to me one way or another and you'll get a comment, I promise. Okay, take care now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Hello. I didn't know.